Natural disasters can happen anywhere at any time. Though Guyana is not prone to many or frequent natural disasters, its low-lying coast faces the imminent threat of flooding. The government of Guyana, in an effort to ensure the protection of the people and productive lands, have embarked on a sea and river defense resilience program aimed at enhancing coastal protection by upgrading and maintaining river and sea defense structures. In this week's edition of Guyana 411, we look at Guyana's sea and river defense structures and the role of the government, its partners local and international, towards ensuring that these structures remain firm to protect the small developing country. I am Shivani Ramprasad and this is Guyana 411. Stay tuned. Government is cognizant of its role to protect its people from natural and man-made disasters. In Guyana's case, the fact that the country is below sea level, there is not much that can be done to avoid flooding, especially during high tides. However, the administration continues to put measures in place to ensure that the low-lying coastal belt is protected from the devastating effects of the sea and excessive rainfall.
Guyana's sea and river defenses form part of an integrated system which plays a vital role in the protection of people, assets, livelihoods, and the environment in the coastal belt. The integrated system contributes to sustainable economic growth and aids in the prevention of flooding. Therefore, the government saw it necessary to implement measures to fix most of the country's sea and river defenses. The government has collaborated with the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, for improvement in 8 critical locations across regions 2, 3, 4, and 6. Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson explains.
The government of Guyana recognized the need for a comprehensive approach to managing the diverse and interrelated aspects of flood protection in this coastal zone. To this end, the Sea and River Defense Sector Policy was developed and updated last year to better reflect an integrated approach to delivering sustainable sea and river defenses along the coastal zones. This improved integration of the many overlapping multi-sectorial functions and aspects of coastal zone management will aid in efficient and effective flood risk preparation, planning, and implementation of strategic actions while fostering better harmonization with other relevant national initiatives.
The CDB has committed to providing $25 million US, whilst the government will invest $5.9 million US. Despite the significant investments to rehabilitate sections of Guyana's sea defense system, the 2014 survey of sea defense structures, which covered 91.2% of the total length, shows that 1% is in critical condition, 9% is in poor, and 34.4% is in fair condition. Hence, $1.7 billion was allocated in the 2016 budget for rehabilitation of the critical and poor sections of the sea defense structures.
The government has developed long-term sea and river interventions with several donors. We have negotiated sea and river defense programs amounting to over $6 billion to erect and strengthen our bulwarks, as well as to fashion a comprehensive instrument for coexisting harmoniously with our ocean and rivers. To support these efforts, the Mangrove Restoration Project and the Shore Zone Management Plan will focus on developing natural mangrove regeneration initiatives that facilitate eco-friendly solutions while preserving the livelihood of people living in close proximity to the oceans and rivers.
Some communities, including Rumsite and Orenstein, Region 3, among others, have since benefited from rehabilitated sea defenses after being in a critical state from the destruction of mangroves. This has caused rapid erosion. Other areas, including Friendship, Wallace Delight, Crane, and Wicknam, among others, have ongoing work.
As a result of the rapid erosion between Crane and Rumsek, government took intervention of doing riprap construction in phases to arrest the erosion problem. However, prior to that rapid erosion, the site between Crane and Wallace Delight were earmarked for works under the CDB because about more than 6 months ago we had experienced rapid erosion, loss of mangrove in Crane area.
We're in friendship on the East Bank Demo area. And right behind me we have an existing river defense that we constructed in 2014. It commenced in 2014. This was a phase 1 of this project, 375 meters of riprap. We're currently in the process of extending this project to a further 120 meters, heading south. The contractor for this project, Mr. Fayez Hussain, and basically, if you would notice, we've already cleared the area and we're ready to commence construction with this project. Now, this project is 3 phases. The entire project itself comprises of a toe which stabilizes the structure and a rock armor slope. There's an earthen embankment and there's a retaining wall and a concrete drain which comprises the entire structure.
With approximately 90% of Guyana's population living largely below the sea level, it is critical for the country to have proper sea and river defenses. In 2014, the government of Guyana and the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, signed an agreement to enhance the resilience of Guyana's sea defense systems to a variable and changing climate.
Since assuming office, the government found it increasingly difficult to secure soft and concessional loans for the purpose of executing hard infrastructural projects owing to the country's track record and economic growth. Despite this challenge, the government persevered and was able to obtain a loan from the CDB. The bank's portfolio manager, William Ashby, talks about the Sea and River Defense Resilience Project.
The Caribbean Development Bank has been fortunate to have the opportunity to support Guyana's work in this sector through a series of projects starting 25 years ago in 1991. Supporting inclusive and sustainable growth and development is one of the bank's main strategic objectives over the 2015 to 2019 planning period. And the promotion of environmental sustainability through climate change resilience, environmental management and disaster risk management is a key corporate priority, one that has been the focus of many of our recent projects.
The need to have a comprehensive approach to managing the diverse and interrelated aspects of flood protection in the coastal zone is critical, according to CDB's project coordinator, Dr. Anna McCrea.
So first of all, there is a need to have the sea defenses which are effective, so which take into account hydrometeorological effects, which take into account the increases in the storm intensity and also take into account surge and flood potential from the climate change which is upon us. And all this will be taken care of by the engineering services work package where the sea defenses would be designed based upon the extensive hydrometeorological analysis. Then, subsequent to the designs, the construction of sea defenses in critical areas will take place.
This integration will aid effective flood risk planning and implementation of strategic actions while fostering better harmonization with other relevant national initiatives. US $30.9 million will be spent on sea and river defense improvement in 8 critical locations across regions 2, 3, 4, and 6, and is expected to benefit 45,000 Guyanese. CDB has provided $25 billion, whilst the government will invest $5.9 million US. Meanwhile, other international donors have come on board. The European Union recently donated $2.26 billion to the government of Guyana to improve the country's sea and river defenses and provide a final copy of the Coastal Engineering Design Manual for the Guyana sea and river defenses. European Union Ambassador expands on the EU's support to Guyana.
Given that Guyana is a low-lying coastal area it is particularly vulnerable to rising sea levels and coastal erosion of natural estuarine and sea defenses. The combined EU commitments of funds to Guyana are over 500 million euros since cooperation started in 1975. We have worked with Guyana in many areas, including sea defenses, agricultural, economic development, energy, water, and human rights issues.
Since 1994, the European Union has contributed over 65 million euros or nearly $14 billion toward the construction, rehabilitation, and/or maintenance of approximately 35 kilometers of sea defense structures in regions 2, 3, 4, and 6.
Drainage and irrigation is very critical to the coast since most of the agricultural production takes place there. In this context, the government of Guyana joined forces with the Netherlands to produce a hydraulic model for addressing drainage.
When the Netherlands-Dutch risk reduction team visited Guyana in early January, they highlighted areas lacking in Guyana's drainage system and committed to return to produce a hydraulic model to address drainage and floods in Guyana. The team fulfilled its commitment and returned to work with the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority (NDIA) to produce a drainage model. Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson explains that the team first highlighted areas where Guyana was lacking and made recommendations to address the issue.
In their report, they noted that our response to flood-related problems have often been reactive after a crisis has occurred. Rather than this crisis-driven approach, it was recommended that we adopt a more proactive approach. This means we have to shift from crisis management to a more long-term planning in the construction as well as maintenance of our drainage infrastructure. This is the first of the 7 recommendations, and this was to upgrade our hydraulic modeling capabilities. This present team will therefore work to develop such a model as well as to train and work along with our local engineers to replicate this modeling for other areas in Guyana.
Subsequently, the team established a plan to start working and was motivated to get the necessary work done during their stay. The completed model, which will be produced by the DRR team along with the NDIA engineers, is intended to benefit Guyana immensely towards managing drainage and irrigation. On completion, the model will be sent to the University of Guyana to be tested continually, and young engineers will be trained to develop and replicate the systems throughout Guyana. The DRR team leader, Hoost Remmers, talks about the components of the model.
And the plan consists of 3 components. Mainly the component of improving the modeling capacity for such a drainage area. The second component is a flood risk assessment according to some of the knowledge we have in the Netherlands, which is also for a large part a low-lying country under sea level. And thirdly, we have 2 structural students in structural engineering with us, and they can form a link between the structures in the drainage system and the hydraulic characteristics of this system.
This collaboration with the DRR was commended by Minister of Agriculture Noel Holder, since the drainage problem in this land of many waters, flood heavily affects agriculture.
The effects of proper drainage have positive impacts from an agricultural perspective. Some of these include salinity control, flooding, crop yields, soil erosion, and water supply, among others. For these reasons, we in the Ministry of Agriculture, and particularly National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, concentrate our best practices in the drainage and irrigation sector. The NDIA over the years has been one of the agencies with the largest share of the ministry's budget, and this is still inadequate to handle demands of managing, providing, improving, and extending our water resource capability. While we utilize natural drainage systems, these channels are not sufficient. Improved drainage methods and systems are necessary. Thus, this initiative and the work of a national task force is timely and necessary for the socio-economic growth and well-being of the people of Georgetown and the country as a whole.
The collaboration is expected to assist Guyana to accomplish more by ensuring better use of skills, resources, reduced duplication of effort, improved communication, understanding and trust among and between agencies, and to promote learning opportunity.
In all of this, mangroves have played a significant role in protecting Guyana's sea and river defenses. Mangroves are more than just swamps. Together with man-made sea defense structures, mangroves provide protection for over 90% of Guyana's population who live within the naturally low-lying flood-prone areas along the coast.
Given the importance of mangroves for Guyana, ensuring their protection and conservation is a priority. The government has developed a sea and river defense policy which includes the restoration of mangroves for effective flood defense and to protect environmental resources. The Mangrove Restoration project in the National Mangrove Management Action Plan was implemented to respond to climate change and to mitigate its effect through the protection, rehabilitation, and wide use of Guyana's mangrove ecosystems. As head of Department of the Mangrove Restoration and Management Department of NARI, Keen Moosley explains.
The Guyana Mangrove Restoration project would have been completed in 2013. So as of 2014, given the importance of mangroves and the lessons learned during the project phase, the department was fully integrated into NARI in 2014. So we've been continuing with the work of the project itself in terms of incorporating some of the lessons learned and our achievements and moving forward with that. So the department has responsibility with regards to getting a better understanding of Guyana's coastal mangroves, designing and implementing restoration activities, monitoring those restoration activities and monitoring what is happening with coastal mangroves along Guyana's coastline, and some amount of protection and enforcement in collaboration with our sister agencies.
The legislation protecting mangroves helps to monitor the growing of the aquatic plants.
Mangroves can only grow at a particular elevation. If the elevation is correct, then getting an understanding of what are the soil conditions to be able to understand why the mangroves are not regenerating naturally. Continuing the assessment to evaluate whether or not there is a forest close by that can provide seeds to that location to be able to restore the area. Well, whether or not there are a lot of human interaction in terms of persons cutting, whether or not there's a lot of grazing of animals, livestock grazing at the area, especially goats, that do a lot of damage to mangroves. So getting an understanding of what is happening to determine why the mangroves aren't growing at a particular area.
Many of the parameters which were used to design the present drainage system are no longer applicable. The environment has changed due to climate and requires the system to be adjusted. Government, through the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, has undertaken initiatives which have seen tremendous improvements to the sea and river defenses and the drainage systems. Works are ongoing in all of the regions as part of government's continued effort through policies and resources coordinated and deployed to achieve specific objectives with maximum flood relief for all.
That has brought us to the end of Guyana 411 for this week. Be sure to check out our other programs on our website www.gina.gov.gy. We're also on Facebook and YouTube. Guyana will be celebrating 178 years since the Declaration of Emancipation on August 1. This significant day in our country's history marks the abolishment of slavery in Guyana and the end of inhumane treatment to our ancestors. Several activities will be held by the African Culture and Development Association, ACDA, across the country, under the theme Celebrating African Guyanese Achievements in the Year of Our Jubilee, Building Strong Families Through Entrepreneurship. I'm Shivani Rampaswat. See you at the grand events.